Have you ever stood somewhere and suddenly felt that you should not be there anymore? That feeling usually arrives 3 seconds before the moment that matters. The platform was quiet in a way that felt deliberate, not abandoned, just reduced. Late-night trains do that to cities. They strip them down to essentials. Fewer conversations, fewer witnesses, fewer mistakes allowed. I stood near the center marker where most people wait. Habit pulls you there. Lighting is better. Visibility feels safer. The sign above the track blinked. Next train, 2 minutes. Most people wait for the train. I wait for confirmation I had 1 minute left and 3 seconds to decide. I check the edge of the platform, not the tracks. The tracks are obvious, the edges of people aren't. 3 others waited with me, all spaced evenly. No one close enough to touch, no one far enough to disappear. Balanced. That balance didn't last. One man shifted closer to the column than he needed to. Another turned his body slightly away from the platform, pretending to check his phone but watching reflection instead of the screen. I stayed still. Stillness gives you contrast. The air changed first. A faint pressure shift, the kind you only feel when a train approaches, or when something interrupts expectation. I listened. I reached the top and blended into the corridor, where cameras multiplied and space widened. By the time the train left, I was already gone. The most dangerous moment is when everyone thinks the situation is over. I never saw what would have happened, and that's exactly why it didn't. Decision windows don't wait for certainty. They close the moment you hesitate. I didn't know what the right choice was. I only knew which place no longer made sense. Safety doesn't announce itself. It fades in quietly. Nothing followed me. Nothing needed to. The absence of consequence is the reward. Most people never notice it. They only notice what happens, never what didn't. People want confirmation. They want proof they were right to feel uneasy. They want something concrete to justify the instinct. They rarely get it. I reached my street and slowed my pace, letting the night settle back into background noise. A car passed. A window lit up on the 3rd floor of an apartment building. Life continued. Nothing happened, because I wasn't there when it might have. Nothing happened on that platform. No report, no headline, no lesson handed down afterward. Just an uneventful train ride for everyone who stayed. That's why instincts fade. Because when you listen to them and leave early enough, the world doesn't reward you with clarity. It rewards you with normality. People ask later. They always do. Not directly, not in words, But in the quiet moments when they replay an ordinary night and wonder why nothing happened, instincts don't answer those questions. They don't justify themselves. They don't leave evidence behind. That's why people stop trusting them. I didn't have a reason I could explain for leaving the platform. No clear threat. No single moment I could point to and say, that was it. There never is. Instinct is cumulative. It's the weight of small inconsistencies stacking quietly until the structure feels unstable. A sound arriving too early. A movement without purpose. A pause where momentum should exist. Most people override that signal because it's inconvenient, because it interrupts plans, because it doesn't sound rational enough to defend. Rationality is useful after the fact. Instinct exists before facts catch up. I crossed another street and let the city absorb me again. Cars passed. A door closed somewhere behind me. A light turned off on a balcony overhead. Normal. That's the problem with doing the right thing early. The world doesn't change to confirm it. If you're waiting for certainty, you're already late. The decision only mattered because it was invisible. Staying has a cost people don't like to calculate. Not financial, not physical, psychological. Every time you ignore a signal, you train yourself to ignore the next one faster. You teach your mind that discomfort is noise, not information. That's how people end up trapped in moments they swear came out of nowhere. They didn't. They arrived slowly, disguised as routine. I thought about the people who stayed on the platform. Not with judgment, but with clarity. They weren't wrong. They were just on a different timeline. Most consequences don't arrive immediately. They wait until attention drops. That's why nothing dramatic needs to happen for a situation to be unsafe. It only needs time. I turned onto my block and felt the subtle shift that comes when you're finally out of transition spaces. Streets you recognize behave differently. They don't demand as much awareness. I slowed my pace, not because I was tired, but because the moment had passed. Awareness isn't constant tension. It's selective focus. You lean in when something feels off. You lean back when it resolves. The smartest choice is rarely staying to see what happens. Nothing happened because time never caught up. The humility to accept that you don't need to understand everything in order to act. The humility to walk away from a place that no longer makes sense, even when you can't explain why. Nothing happened that night. And that's the lesson most people miss. If nothing happened, ask yourself why. The smartest decision is rarely dramatic. It doesn't look heroic. It looks like leaving early. Subscribe to Merch Media to learn how to see it early.